Okay, so the last session we saw the use of conditionals, and we wrote a nice little piece of code where we typed in a number and it basically told us which one it was because we were doing it according to a conditional statement. Now I don't want to lose this, so I'm going to do file save as, and I'm going to call that, what am I going to call that? Conditional. That's a good name, isn't it? So I'm going to call that conditional, and not too fussed. So now I'm going to save this as temp1. So I've got the temp1. So now, get rid of all this because I want to start from scratch. Because what I want to do is, in the lectures, Introduction to Python, in week 1, if you go to page 22 of 53, what you find is the first Python program. Now, on the surface of it, this seems pretty difficult. But based on what we've done so far, you're pretty well placed to be able to solve this one here. Now, the lecturer is going to go through it fairly methodically a bit later, but let's just do it as an exercise. So, I don't want to type all this out, so I'm going to be really lazy and I'm just going to cut and paste anything I can across there. And that's what you do from web pages when you're borrowing, in inverted commas, other people's code. You just cut and paste what you can and trim it up afterwards. So, clearly, we're in a file, so we've learned all this before. We don't want these prompts, so I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. We don't want the line numbers, so I'm just clean that up. But here we go. Now you'll notice that the lecturer is still doing it from the command prompt. We showed you a little while ago of how to do it inside a file, so for our demonstrations, we're not going to bother doing it inside the console anymore. Everything's going to be inside the command prompt. Now, something unusual straight away when we do this, you see at the top there it says import math. Now, that's what's called a library. Now, inside Python doesn't just obey basic instructions like the if statements and the print statements and the input statements and so on that we saw before. We are at liberty to call in a wide variety of information into Python, but the reason that it doesn't all load up on its own is because otherwise our executable would become enormous. So what we do in most languages is we just import the information that we need. In other words, we want to pass an exam, we read book A, we don't read the entire library. We could read the entire library, but it's likely that we would forget everything. Whereas if we just read one book, because tomorrow we've got the C151 exam, that's probably our best bet. So what we're going to do is import math, or the maths library. Math is very American, I prefer an S on the end of that, but that's where we are, we're stuck with it.
I think Python also refers to it as modules, doesn't it?
It does refer to them as modules, yeah. I mean, library for us comes from C and C++, of course, and it just depends on your upbringing and which language you learn first and so on. But Mike, why do we need that maths library in there?
Well, the maths library comes as a standard library with Python, or module with Python, and it includes a lot of common mathematical functions that we can use with our program that have already been debugged, have already been written, and are very easy to utilize without having to rewrite a lot of functions. Things like the value of pi, trigonometry functions, calculus functions, all these kind of things are wrapped up in the maths library that we can make use of.
But which one are we using here now?
Here we are referencing pi, and the value for pi 3.14159 is a constant, and we can see on the fourth line down where it says circumference there is a reference to math.pi, and the math is the module name which we import at the top. The dot represents that we are using something within that module, and pi is the name of a constant located in the math module. If you want to find out what the math module exposes for your use, you need to look at the documentation where the constants, functions and everything else available in math will be detailed and documented and given examples. But in this instance, all we're doing is using the pi constant. We could actually not use math here and type in 3.14 ourselves. But in this example, we're importing the math module, and from the math module, we're using the pi constant that will evaluate to 3.14.
Yeah. And we've also, by importing the math library, we've also got very, very precise pi, so it's going to be 3.14159265 blah, 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 blah. Not that we need that much accuracy for this particular program. But if we look at this program, what we have here, let's just take everything in isolation. So let's take the rest of the code out of the way. So we've got radius, which is perfectly reasonable. So we're asking the user, we know this because we've done this before in the previous examples, we're asking the user to enter the radius of their circle. And that's just text which is going to go at the command prompt. Now, it's been, if you like, cast to a string. We actually did a bit of a shortcut before, so let's do that in this as well. So what I'm going to do here is I know that this input is a string, but the radius needs to be a number. So they're doing it as integer here, but we could do it as floating point. But let's just do it as integer for the time being. So if I say int of that input, what I'm telling it is that radius is now an integer. Okay? Happy with that? That makes sense, doesn't it? So I don't actually need this next line here, so I can either comment it out, but it does the same thing, or I can just delete it. So I'm just going to delete it so it doesn't confuse anyone. Okay, so I've asked the user what the circumference of their circle is, and the user types in the number and then presses the enter. So circumference is 2 pi r. Might have done that at secondary school. So the circumference of the circle is 2 pi r. So we've got 2 in here, yeah, that makes sense. Now we've got math.pi. So what that means is that we're accessing a module inside the maths library called pi, which is just a number contained in the maths library. So we've got 2 times, effectively we're saying pi there, times the radius. Well, we've already said that the radius is an integer, so we probably don't need that either. So the circumference is 2 times pi times r. So let's just make a little comment there to remind ourselves of that. So, go across here a little bit, won't let me tab somebody. Come on. So I'm going to put a hash in there and I'll say circum equals 2. I don't have pi symbol on here, so I'm just going to write pi. Okay. And that's fine. So we've got a variable which at the end should have circumference contained in it, which would be 2 pi times whatever the value we entered here. Fine. Area. What's the area of a circle like?
The area of the circle would be pi times the radius squared. Pi times the circumference, no, pi times the radius squared.
Now we don't need the maths library squared, but we haven't seen this before, and we just do this, which is being comfortable with, so there's no need for it. These 2 stars here mean raised to the power of. So if I did radius star star 3, that would be raised to the power of 3. So in other words, I would be cubing it. If I did to the power 1, what would it be? What it was originally. And if I raised it to the power of 0, what? Exactly. You might like to think about what we just said there, but 1 raised to the power of 0, I can assure you is 1. So area is pi times the radius raised to the power of 2. And finally down the bottom here, look, we've got the print statement, and we've got the compound print statement like we had before. So we've got text in here, circumference is, then we've got a variable called circumference, which we calculated here, and area, we've got more text here, and after the comma there, we've got another variable which we created here. Okay. Any reasons why that shouldn't work?
Well, you may find there's a reason that that doesn't work because of have you noticed that in your streams they haven't changed colour to green?
Yes,
That's because the speech marks that are used are not the standard ASCII speech marks. And that is something that's happened because we've copied it
that's
from
because of my cut and paste. That's a
Cut and
good point,
paste.
actually. Yes, there we go. So, yeah, they're a different font, so let's just put that right. Now that's an example of a bug which will take you, well, some people, the rest of their life to find, because it's really odd. And that's the frustrating thing about code. But get to the bottom of it you will, and Mike very cleverly pointed out there that it hadn't gone green, so it meant the interpreter hadn't seen that. This and this, it hadn't seen it as text. That's the reason it didn't work.
Be careful when copying and pasting.
Be careful when copying and pasting, yeah, especially for invisible control characters, because they'll get you as well. Okay, that looks all right to me now. I can't see any reason why we shouldn't have something that's operational there, so let's run it. Run the module, and things are looking good so far. So enter the radius of your circle. So let's just stay very basic for the time being. We've got a 1 metre radius circle. So circumference is, I haven't read all the numbers, but 6.28, and the area is 3.14. Looks pretty good to me.
Yep.
So it looks like a good result. So now let's get a bit more sophisticated.
There is one interesting thing to point out in there, and that is why radius raised to the power of 2
Yeah.
is inside brackets.
Yes.
The reason for that.
Okay, you highlighted it, you explain it.
Okay, the reason for that is because it's what's known
Just
as
highlight on the mouse what you were talking about there, if you wouldn't mind. That's it.
it's what's known
Why is
as
that in brackets, you're asking?
order of precedence.
Mhm.
And what this is actually telling us is I want to calculate the radius raised to the power of 2 before I then multiply it with maths of pi.
Because otherwise it would be pi times the radius raised to the power
Yes,
of 2. Yeah.
exactly.
So that's odd maths, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brackets of division, multiplication, addition and subtraction.
Yeah.
It's following.
Yeah, if it's inside parentheses, it will always be evaluated